There are actually two Eurasian ideas, two Eurasianisms. First of all, and that is most important, the official Eurasian Economic Union is not an ideological project. It is only about economic integration, economic cooperation. It's not about politics. It's not about defense. It's even not about cultural cooperation and integration. It's only about economic integration within the Union and integration into the global economy. And this union idea was proposed not by Putin. It's not a Russian project. It was proposed by the president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, even in 1994. This was not mentioned in the article. So it was Kazakhstan's and Nazarbayev's initiatives, not Russians, not Putin's. And what is important is, even though Nazarbayev is a supporter of classical Eurasianism, of Lev Gumilev, for example, he sees the Union as purely bureaucratic, technocratic, economocentric. And it's not about politics. Yeah. However, there's another Eurasian idea, the idea of classical Eurasianism, or now it's called neoclassical Eurasianism, which has different aspects, let's say. But the main idea, I would say, is that the Eurasian space has in it living the Eurasian civilization. So there's a cultural, a civilizational basis for Eurasian integration. The same as the European idea, that on the basis of European integration, we have not only an economic interest, or in the case of European Union, not only a political and defense, security, peace interest. As we know, European Community of Steel and Energy was created in order not to make it possible for Germany and France to wage another war in the European theater. However, of course, the forefathers of the European Union, they all supported, they were all adherents to this European idea of a European civilization, Greek philosophy and Roman law and Christian theology and Renaissance and so on. And they really said that despite of having economic and political aims, the European Union has ideological aims of European values. We have the classical Eurasianists of the 1920s, which actually also lived in Europe, which supported the idea that Russia and what is former Russia, the former Soviet Union and the former Russian Empire, which is now post-Soviet space, that these peoples have a part of a common civilization, the Eurasian civilization, and that those peoples share a common destiny, that they have a distinct culture which mixes Eastern influences and Western influences, but it's distinct. It's not a lesser Europe. It's not an underdeveloped Western appendage, as some Eastern appendage of Europe, which some Westernists would like to argue. No, Eurasia is a distinct civilization with its own culture. It has, as a European civilization, a lot of different peoples to it. People from Iceland are very different from the Greek or the Portuguese, very different from the Finnish people. But no one argues that they're all part of the European civilization. The same here. We have people from Kyrgyzstan and from Belarus. If you compare them, they're quite different, but they're all part of the Eurasian civilization. So that's the main aim, the main idea of Eurasianism, of having a common civilization, and of course the idea to preserve those cultural identities in the 21st century. So Eurasianism is all about culture, identity, and also what is interesting, it's not about imperialism. It's not about creating an empire. It's about having a space for the mutual, respectful development of the cultures of the peoples, and for that, the sovereignty of the states of the Eurasian Union, for example, and of the Eurasian space is necessary. However, this neoclassical Eurasianism is not part of the official narrative, and people of the Eurasian Economic Commission would never accept it. It's not an official idea. It's not officially supported. Yes, maybe there are some people who are supportive of some aspects, but everyone understands, and I'm not talking about the Russian side here, I'm talking even about Kazakh side or Kyrgyz or Belarus or Armenian. Everyone understands that, of course, the Eurasian Economic Union should have some other aspects to it, of having Eurasian values, a Eurasian cultural integration agenda, for example. However, we are not ready for it. We have to create a common market, a common economic union, and then maybe, if we are ready, we can move forward, but only based on a common interest and common acceptance of this next step. And what strikes me most interestingly is that this idea of having Eurasian values, of having a Eurasian civilization, of being Eurasianists, is seen as something outlandish, something which is not allowed for us. At the same time, having European values, a European civilization, as the foundation for this modern European Union is absolutely acceptable. I had the honor to meet people working in the European Commission who are part of, for example, of the process of trade negotiations with Eastern European states, and they are very ardent Europeanists. They have this idea of that the European Union has certain values, and why can't the Eurasian Union have that? That is something, that is an example of double morals, of a double understanding. Of course, there should be this Eurasian historical narrative underlying the Eurasian Economic Union. And this should be allowed for every regional integration bloc, as for NAFTA or ASEAN or whatever.